Good Thursday morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Kaiser Report. I'm John here with my beautifully groomed poodle, Kaiser, today to talk to you about a lot of things that are going on. It's almost unbelievable what we got to witness yesterday within the Rose Garden of the White House, where the announcements were made about the tariffs and the plans for tariffs that took place during the talk yesterday was very, very interesting. The stock market, of course, has reacted overnight. They did make these announcements after the closing bell yesterday, but overnight the futures were looking somewhat, in some estimations, it depends on what network you tune into and listen to. There's 2 or 3 networks that will just out and out doom and gloom you to death, which is not really the case, because if you look at the true numbers, the stock market has not gone down significantly. It's, probably opened up today or will open up $1,000 down or 1,000 points down. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not all that bad. And it's not a barometer for you to be making choices on, because the reactions from some of the other countries, such as Mexico and Canada, are already beginning to look good, because they're making the phone calls as predicted, trying to cut some deals here, which I believe will actually happen. And nothing is going to take place overnight to make a huge difference in anything. And if you tune in to CNBC and the idiots over at Morning Joe, you're going to get a false narrative on what exactly really is going on in the world today, never mind the stock market here. You've got a guy over there that is just dying for something dire to happen so he can report it. And it's just so evident anymore with these news outlets on what is really going on and what you should be aware of and also recognize as propaganda that they're putting out to make this administration look bad in whatever light that they feel will benefit their viewership, which, by the way, if you look at MSNBC, their viewership has been flushed down the proverbial bowl with their lies that they've been caught in, and those morning idiots just haven't learned yet that what they're telling everyone is not the truth. It's a made-up fabrication of what is real in this country and what is taking place. That said, we have to talk about one of the big lies this morning on Morning Jerk, of course, is the lie that it's being told not only by them but by CNN as well, about Elon Musk departing from the White House and Doge. Let's take a look back during the campaign where it was clearly said and announced that because of his non-appointed position there, that he only has 130 days before he has to wind up his investigations and so on. And that we're approaching the 100-day mark right now. And there is and it's been said by the president, and now it has been announced by Elon Musk himself, against these lies that the media is telling you, that he is departing because they're not getting along. This is made up BS from the nth degree on. This is not true. He's not running away. He has done a magnificent job with setting up Doge. Doge will continue to be the watchdog of the waste, fraud, and mismanagement of our money that has happened for years and years and years through our government's nonchalant attitude at how our money and grants are just being given out willy-nilly with no accountability. Pure and simple. Elon Musk has been the target now by the left side of the aisle and a couple of the Republicans as well, because they are afraid of what you and I are going to find out and make public about some of the shenanigans that they have been involved in our legislative branch and then beyond in this government. So why don't we just take a look right here?
I guess it would be helpful because so I can just state it as crisply and clearly as possible that DOGE will absolutely ensure that people get their Social Security, make sure they get their Social Security, make sure they get their Medicaid, and will not be cutting any legitimate payments whatsoever. Crystal clear.
I got a bad feeling about this.
I'll go back to Elon Musk for a second, because, I mean, it is true that he spent $20 million on affiliated groups that were involved in this race. Is it a risk for Republicans to put all their eggs in that basket? Not only did he spend the money, he came to the state. Right. He came to the state. He talked about cutting Medicaid, Social Security through DOGE, bringing those issues up.
Actually, he never talked. He explicitly said in Green Bay that he would not cut Social Security.
Well,
that's exactly what he said.
Talked at his rallies.
No, other people said about that, but I was there. I watched him. Okay. He did not say he was going to cut Medicaid.
Other people at his rallies who work for DOGE, who work for Elon Musk's organization, talked about those issues.
No, I was at the rally. Not a one of them said that.
That's
what protesters said, but nobody there actually said that.
Do you think that there are risks here?
There are. People believe the lies that people are saying about that. But that's not at all what they said. If people believe that Medicaid and Medicare is going to be touched, that's just a flat, outright lie.
Oh, God. Wow. Okay.
So I can just state it as crisply and clearly as possible that DOGE will absolutely ensure that people get their Social Security, make sure they get their Social Security, make sure they get their Medicaid, and will not be cutting any legitimate payments whatsoever. Crystal clear.
Not only did he spend the money, he came to the state. Right. He came to the state. He talked about cutting Medicaid, Social Security through DOGE, bringing those issues up.
Actually, he never talked. He explicitly said in Green Bay that he would not cut Social Security.
Well,
that's exactly what he said.
Talked at his rallies.
No.
And she lied.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
It's very, very interesting on how rumors get started and then are propagated by CNN. And they've been busted now on live TV. There it was. You saw it yourself. And it's unbelievable what they get along with. And I would like to know what our FCC is thinking about having these people on air, straight-faced lying to you and giving you an untrue look at what really is happening here, there, and everywhere. So it's almost a shame that we have this nonsense going on, but it is. It's taking place. We know it is. And Fox and the rest of them are just as guilty in some cases. So don't think it's just Morning Jerk and that bunch, because CNN has to be held accountable for some of their stuff. And then you have other places like ABC that has that show on a daily basis that's called The View. Well, the view from that platform is one that is highly suspicious and highly untruthful on a day-to-day basis. And speaking of untruthful, we all heard yesterday how the great hero of the legislative branch on the Senate floor, one more time got away with an out-and-out lie. What he did was not a filibuster. A filibuster, as I explained yesterday, takes place when there is legislation on the floor that needs to be dealt with and someone blocks the vote on it. That's the filibuster. What he did was a grandstand to get his face on TV and be able to lie to everyone one more time and get out all his angst over the fact that he hates the Trump administration. He hates Donald Trump. He hates Elon Musk. And I got news for him. Most of the population, especially the almost 80 million people that voted for this administration, do not like you, Cory Booker. And if you live in the state of New Jersey and you suffered through the Newark crap that went on under his tutelage, you hate him too. Well, hate is a very, very strong word that's being thrown around in this country ad nauseum anymore, and they want you to go out and hate people because they hate people. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people that listen to this nonsense and will go out and burn your car down or burn a dealership down because they're told they need to hate a certain individual that owns that car company, or they have a grudge against someone because they're told to have a grudge against someone by people that sit in a seat of power, either in the Senate or in our House of Representatives, that have the audacity and the utter gall to decide to tell you that we need to make changes because these people that you elected are not right, and you have to elect who we tell you to elect to get through and make it happen. So not an exact place to be, but the hypocrisy of this guy, Cory Booker, is just unbelievable. He's a liar and a hypocrite, and he's aided and abetted, again, by mainstream media that is all a Twitter that he broke the record for the longest. By the way, it's not a filibuster, it's a speech. No matter what mainstream media tries to shade it as, it was not a filibuster, it was a speech for him to get recognition and be on the air with his falsehoods and his hatred and his division and his racism that he practices every day in a Senate area that has no room for this kind of nonsense. Well, let's look at this and you'll see quickly what I'm talking about.
The filibuster in a long period, early 1900s to the 1970s, was used on average one time a year. It was a rarely invoked thing. Right. It wasn't invoked in Supreme Court justices. It wasn't invoked for a lot of major pieces of legislation. It began to be abused, especially with Mitch McConnell, really taking the filibuster to a whole new level under Barack Obama. So to say that Joe Biden has changed, the real change you need to point to is the way the modern Republican Party picked up the filibuster and so abused it to the point now where many of us are saying this is ridiculous. We're stopping some fundamental progress in our country that the majority of people agree with. We need to revisit this filibuster.
Democratic Senator Cory Booker is just about to break the record for longest filibuster. We want to look at this live right now. This is a live look at the House floor. The New Jersey senator has officially been speaking for about 24 hours and 19 minutes straight.
The real change you need to point to is the way the modern Republican Party picked up the filibuster and so abused it to the point now where many of us are saying this is ridiculous.
You said it.
He now surpasses the record held by the late Senator Strom Thurmond, who filibustered for 24 hours and 18 minutes in 1957 in opposition to the Civil Rights Act.
I just want to tell you a question. Do you know you have just broken the record? Do you know how proud this caucus is of you? Do you know how proud America is of you?
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you we don't care. Or many of us are saying this is ridiculous. We're stopping some fundamental progress in our country that the majority of people agree with. We need to revisit this filibuster.
Hush up, boy.
It's been 84 years.
There's two sides to this guy. One that tells you that filibusters are bad, and then one that comes out and tries to create a filibuster when there's no legislation on the floor. And that's all I'm going to say about that. He doesn't deserve to be on anybody's news channel bragging about that he broke records. He didn't break anything except his vocal cords. And then, as I said yesterday, he didn't, and they're saying, oh, he spoke straight through for all this time. He didn't. He was taking breaks. He had people like Klobuchar and all those people around him that helped him with this by asking questions, and then they got to give their little speeches and then punctuate it with a question so he gets away with taking a rest. He did not speak straight through. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So we mentioned earlier The View. These women on this particular program, they're running around like a dog without a leash on subjects that they are very, very little qualified to talk about, but get away with it every day. They slip their little ideas right in, which are usually hate-based ideas. I guess they get away with it one time, so they continue to do it. The lawsuits that are being held against them now should maybe wake them up a little bit. I'm hoping that they do. But they're promoting the fact today that there is no voter fraud ever that happened in this country. And they bring this bozo on to tell you why there should be no need for any voter ID anywhere in this country, that there's no fraud, never has been any fraud, and probably will not be, and then even made mention that he'd like to lower the voting age to 16. Well, we know that most of the 16-year-olds in this country today don't even know who the president is right now, or was last year, or the term before. So they're busy doing this on their little cell phones and playing video games in their daddy's basement somewhere. So it's not what you think it is. And this moron is trying to convince them, and has convinced them, that there is no such thing as voter fraud. Well, I'd like you to take a look at this now.
Hush up, boy.
Congrats on the book. And I weirdly read the epilogue first. And what I was struck by, what you and I agreed on, well, we may disagree on some of the issues in the law. You did lay out a bunch of solutions. One of them is adding more seats to the House of Representatives. But you acknowledge those are really hard things to do. That's not something that I think either of us expect is going to happen in the next decade. So what do you see as sort of the marginal changes that are actually really tangible and realistic that could be put in place in the next few years?
I argue that we should eliminate all voter registration laws. Now, that might not sound realistic to you, but I promise you that it is, because we already have voter eligibility requirements, right? An eligibility requirement would be like an age limit, right? 18 to vote, I might say you should be 16, but I'm not going to say 8. I've got an 8-year-old who does knock, but I've got an 8-year-old, right? We don't want them voting. But once you meet the eligibility requirement, why can't you automatically be registered to vote?
That's right.
Having the second step of voter registration needlessly suppresses the votes for no real benefit. Some people might say, like, oh, it prevents voter fraud. First of all, no, it doesn't. Second of all, voter fraud doesn't exist. Right?
Voter fraud doesn't exist.
Right?
I beg to differ.
5 people are now under arrest accused of tampering with the mayoral primary election in Connecticut's largest city in 2023.
There are numerous charges that all surround fraudulent use of absentee ballots. News 8's Bob Wilson has details.
Voter fraud doesn't exist.
Since the primary, there have been allegations swirling around about ballot fraud with those absentee ballots. There's video of people stuffing ballots into the boxes and now arrests. So what have lawmakers done to protect the system?
Not a damn thing.
Investigators say this video started it all. A woman seen here allegedly putting absentee ballots into a drop box. That was in September 2023. It was the primary race for mayor. Now, 5 people have been arrested and charged for allegedly misusing absentee ballots during the 2023 race. The day after the primary, police received a complaint that Wanda Gator-Pataki allegedly stuffed absentee ballots into the voting box.
Looks fine to me, but do give us a call if you get any issues.
Of course, thank you.
You have a nice day now.
I've been banging my head against the wall talking about abuse over the years. It took that Dropbox video from Bridgeport to go viral for people to really start paying attention.
Wanda Gator-Pataki and 4 others were charged with a whole host of crimes that surrounded misuse of absentee ballots.
Voter fraud doesn't exist. Right?
Jury duty, blackmail, pink slip, chain letter, eviction notice, jury duty.
So, even though they've been caught red-handed and people are fully aware that there's voter fraud taking place, these idiots are trying to convince their viewership there's don't look over here because nothing like that ever happened. And, just like nothing ever happened with the Biden dementia being covered up by these very same people and others on legacy media and on the channels such as MSNBC, CNBC, and CNN. It's unbelievable what they got away with in covering up the inability of a Biden administration that was being run by AutoPen because this guy was vacant. And now his chief of staff decides to write a book and admit it all to us. They're stabbing him in the back, his closest people, right now about his inability to speak, number one, to pronounce words correctly, number 2, and number 3, his ability to find a bathroom in a fundraiser house where they had to put tape on the floor to tell him what room to go in. And maybe it was like Disneyland, where follow the color-coded signs when you're on the tram. And we watched what happened in Europe during the D-Day celebration, the 80th anniversary. We watched him stumble off of stages. We watched Obama have to lead him off a fundraising stage in California, and we didn't see any of that. No, Joe was the best Joe Biden ever. And F you, he said, Morning Joe, if you don't believe that. Well, guess what, Joe? We don't believe it, and it's out and true now what actually did happen. And his own staff are writing books so they can, rake in on the fact that we had a dysfunctional idiot sitting in the White House pretending to be president for 4 years. And now we turn on somebody that is in under 100 days has done more than Biden did in 4 years that just passed. and then Obama did in 8 years. In under 100 days, we've accomplished that much more. This is a man that is being maligned every day, while they want to put, according to Pelosi, Biden's image on Mount Rushmore. Can you get any more stupidity out of these people that call themselves senators and congresspeople? The Democratic Party has absolutely taken leave of any senses that they've had. They are totally in the tank with craziness and cannot function as a legislative body, in my estimation, when they're acting in the fashion that they are now. But the Biden dementia, there's meme after meme that I could show you, showing you where he stumbles through or tries to go through a speech. It's out now in this book that was written by his chief of staff, that during the debate prep, where they said he had a cold and he was jet lagged from travel, where he was on vacation in Camp David for 2 weeks and heavily trained on what to say and what not to say, and he even managed to blow that because he walked off and sat by a pool while he was supposed to be training and said he was just too tired to do it. And no one exercised Article 25 on this guy. But they want to do what? Impeach? Now they're talking about impeachment again because they thought they were going to lessen the power of the Congress by winning in Florida, which they didn't do. And now they're hanging their hat and chiding Elon Musk over the loss of a judicial seat in Wisconsin that he campaigned for, which really has no bearing on anything except they can fool around with redistricting and cause the voters in Wisconsin some trouble in that fashion. But there's no voter fraud, folks. You heard it on The View. Yeah, The View. Anyway, he has problems with his speech. And then when you look at the fact that the guy that wants to come in as the next Biden, little Timmy Walz, that man's man that he really is not, has the same speech pattern problems as our buddy Biden did. So let's look at old Joe and Tim Walz right here.
For years, too little has been done to beat this threat here at home and around the world. In fact, before I came to office, overdose deaths in our country are increasing by more than 30%.
That was a weird one.
And one of the areas I'm deeply concerned with is we're seeing the cuts also impacting some of our student chemical dependency work that we've been doing. For the first time, we're actually seeing some significant reductions in usage and overdose death.
It's amazing when both of them could be put in the same box and sold as the same product because they're both idiots and of not sound mind. And speaking of not being of sound mind, we have a highly educated congresswoman that came from a very wealthy family, gets into Congress, gets a law degree, and comes from a good home and has a great education prep school, right on through to law school, and now she wants to pretend she's from the hood, and she wants to talk like that, or however she does it, I don't know. But she got caught with her speech the other day and actually telling you the truth about how she got her job. Not to mention that she managed to insult you and I one more time through her little rant on the Congress floor. And, well, here, let's look at this one.
I don't like Elon Musk. I'm going to say it 50,000 times. I don't like him. I don't like that he going out there and he firing people. I think that he's a crook.
Girl, you nasty.
When I first became a public defender, I had no criminal defense experience. And I walked in and I told my boss, Charlie, I said, listen, you should hire me. He said, why? I said, because I'm black. Charlie looked at me like I was crazy.
Exactly right.
Our Bureau needs resources to do its job effectively. What it doesn't need is 20-something-year-old douchebags reviewing materials without having undergone proper vetting and clearance.
Classic.
It is interesting what we have. If you take a look through our Congress at Ilhan Omar, at Rashid or whatever her name is, and AOC, this Jasmine Crockett, and people of that nature, not to mention the going to the Senate, where you have a minority leader that's hunched over a podium reading notes that he even gets wrong reading it, all exercised over the fact that he wants to talk to you about how bad tariffs are and how bad Donald Trump is. This guy needs to be sent home. He is so far past his sell-by date that the milk is sour. And there's no doubt about Chucky the Clown Schumer being unable to do the job and probably close to being as unable as Biden was as being president. And it's amazing. And then you have the guy that's after him that wants his job, Hakeem Jeffries, who is an out-and-out race baiter in my estimation, up there making a jerk of himself and getting caught by the press almost daily with his remarks. And it's a circus, folks. It is a circus that is not entertaining to a point, because we get a lot of laughs out of some of these idiots. And now we have a few rhinos on the other side that are joining in with opinions on tariffs and the like that they have no education or background to be making the comments that they are, but yet they're on the morning shows and the Sunday news networks and so on, telling you their opinions, which are so far skewed from the truth that it's ridiculous. So this is what we have sitting in our Congress today, trying to pretend that they're in there doing what you voted for them to go in and do. It's not happening. They're running their own show. They're running their own carnival. And it is a carnival of idiots when you stop and listen and look at who is telling you what. And now all of this nonsense with Doge finding these things out, and people are being laid off. And yes, I feel bad for anyone who loses a job. But these jobs are not being done away with. And what they don't tell you on the news networks, and what these morons in Congress won't tell you, is that these jobs are going now into a private sector. So there is hireability for anyone who had the true workmanship to benefit those programs can be rehired by people in the private sector who will do a better job. And never forget what Reagan said. If somebody comes up to you and says, "Hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to help," you need to run the other way, because the government cannot run a candy store successfully without eating half the candy before it's sold and then telling you they don't know where it went. And that's what you're looking at in DOJ is uncovering every day. You have a Social Security department that Congress people want to tell you that they're cutting your Social Security. That's the furthest thing from the truth. Nothing in Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security is being cut. They're taking the people that are illegally trying to steal your money, and also people that are 153 years old that are long since passed away, still getting checks, or someone is getting checks in their name. This is what's being uncovered. It will not affect you or I or anyone else receiving Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. And as far as the NIH goes and the CDC, a lot of these people that were in there spending millions of dollars on specialty lighting for their conference rooms are the people that are being let go. No one that was productive or actually working on curing diseases or anything to do with that is being let go unless their performance is subpar or redundant. You have to understand something about our military and our government. There's an awful lot of redundancy in the job areas where you have 2 and 3 people doing the same job and 700 different IT platforms that cannot communicate with each other. They don't know what they're doing, what the other guy is doing, what the other platform is doing. Redundancy is a very, very costly problem in our government today, in our military, and so on. And this is what's being looked at by DOJ and by Elon Musk. He has taken it really badly in loss of his company's prowess to come in and help us out, by the way, free of charge. And anyone like Jessica Tarloff on the 5, that ignorant person that sits there from time to time saying that he's making millions because of this, is not true. He's lost money as a result of this, Tarloff. And you are one person that is redundant beyond anyone's imagination. No one needs to hear from you. And with that, it is Thursday, and you know our sponsor here is Lazy J Farms and Butcher Shop, located in Kingsport, Tennessee on Bloomingdale Road. And you'll see their number right here. Give them a call today if you would like some specialty cut beef like you've never tasted before, or to put it in the vernacular of Bernie Sanders, you need to take a look at this butcher shop because they make the greatest beef in the world. You need to call them today at this number right here. Or, as Donald Trump would say, it's beef like no one's ever tasted before. So, give them a call. Tell them Kaiser sent you. Tell them you want your steaks cut 2 inches, 1 3/4 inches, whatever it is. It's blonde Aquitaine cattle, and the flavor and the consistency of this meat is to die for. He also raises pork, and he'll give you cuts of that. Their ribs are to die for. You can get eggs from him at a reasonable price, farm fresh right off the farm. His cheeses and the chicken is the most moist and tender chicken you've ever tasted. So if you're in the market for something for the grill this weekend or just to feed your family, call them up today. Tell them Kaiser sent you and tell them how you would like your meat cut. And they'll, if you're not local, will ship it to your door overnight, flash frozen for your freezer. So with that, we're going to say it's Thursday one more time, and we're looking at the advent of a new weekend. We're going to watch the stock market play today. Do not use the stock market as a barometer for what's going on within the world today with the tariffs and the situation that has been announced yesterday. It's a good thing, folks. No matter what MSNBC and Morning Jackass over there want to tell you, it's not going to hurt us. It's going to benefit us. It's going to benefit our farmers, our manufacturers, and our workforce will be increasing at a rapid pace right now, and manufacturing is coming back to America one more time. And it's as a direct result. Do not expect it to happen in 36 to 48 hours, because that's not the case. It's going to take some time. And remember, as I tell you here on the Kaiser Report all the time, please pray for this administration. They're under a lot of duress, and they're under a lot of misinformation being spread by legacy media, which should stop, but they're going to double down on the lies and the misinformation to you, John Q. Public, just to make their point that they hate this administration, and the hatred for Donald Trump is what's driving these people, propagated by the propaganda media, and a hatred-filled congressional legislative branch. Do not forget that. So with that, I want you all to have a wonderful rest of this Thursday. Looks like it's going to be nice weather here today. A little windy last night, and 25-mile-an-hour gust had come through here. But it was warm. I was out yesterday on the mowers for the first time this year, and we got some pastures cut and ready. So I hope you're all enjoying some good weather today. And for those of you that are in that corridor where these magnificent, huge tornadoes have whipped up, are staying safe. Our prayers are going out to all of those people that have been affected by these tornadoes, and we wish you the best. We're praying for you. And with that, pray for this administration, pray for your family, and pray that everything in this world will come to peace one more time and the wars will subside. So with that, stay safe, stay strong, and stay tuned to the Kaiser Report for more commentary, news bits, and maybe even a few laughs here and there. So with that, I'm going to say bye-bye now. God bless.